Welcome.
Sweet. That's great.
You need cooling, baby, I'm not fooling. I'm gonna send you back to schooling. Way down inside, honey, you need it. I'm gonna give you my love. I'm gonna give you my love. Oh, want a whole lot of love. 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 You've been learning, baby, I've been learning. All that good time, baby, I've been learning. Way down inside, honey, you need I'm gonna give you my love. I'm gonna give you my love. Oh, whole lot of love. Want a whole lot of love. Want a whole lot of love. Want a whole lot of love.
The dusty spider.
Leave it alone.
Junkyard won't care.
Yeah.
No, they won't. They
right.
won't.
All right, welcome everyone. Here we go. This is an exciting one. It's Jacob and Miguel with special guest Reid today. This is the first shoot that we're doing where I don't know all the answers because it's not my car or his car. So this is gonna be a fun one. Here is Reid's 1984 Jetta GLI two-door sedan. Many of you guys probably have never seen this car because it's been off the road for a long time. How long has it been off the road for?
I lost count. I don't know all the answers either.
Well, mine says
2009, I believe.
Was
Yeah.
that it?
Yeah, I think that was it.
And you took it off the road.
Shoot and park.
And you took it off the road voluntarily?
Yeah, I was going balls to the wall, full build, color change, nothing spared. Turbo kit.
Were you gonna go gray or brown?
I was going pure rust, and it's in the
That was
process.
That was in 2009.
process,
You guys
yeah.
are building those like rusted out cars.
I wasn't
rat
into
styles.
I wasn't into patina at that point. It's growing on me, and so I might just stick with it because I hate red.
It's really cool actually. I was talking to somebody about this meeting the other day. I showed them a picture of the magazine, and I said, "Here's a teaser of what we're doing next." And this is a guy who's been in the scene for well over a decade locally. And I show him the picture of the cover, and he's like, "Yeah, like what are you guys doing?" I'm like, "Look at the cover." And he's like, "Oh, you're doing like another Mark 1 of some sort?" I'm like, "No, like look at the cover." He's like, I don't know those cars." I'm like, "He doesn't know those cars." Like it just blew my mind that like the car's been put away for so long. There's guys who've been around for like well over a decade, don't even know you have it.
Yikes! Yeah, getting up there.
Yep.
I got a little sidetracked.
It's totally normal. Like this happens to everybody. I have cars myself that I've had for 20 years or thereabouts, and
Yeah.
they're not on the road. And I know so many guys who have nice cars, but they've got plenty other ones at home exactly like this, but nobody talks about it.
Yeah, I like to almost have a pile of stuff here, so it's kind of hidden, because it's like out of sight, out of mind. Because it is stressful, embarrassing. It's a dream I'd like to complete. Obviously, some people give it up. Just you're never gonna do it. You haven't done it by now, but no.
That's an interesting point to make. I always hear about people complaining that others hoard cars and don't sell them. Like, oh, this guy's got this car and it's parked in his driveway, and I've tried to buy it for 20 years, and he just letting it go to waste.
Yeah.
I went to a hot rod show. I don't know if you were there with me, but we went to a hot rod show in
No.
somewhere, not by accident. We stumbled upon it. Big grouping of cars. Well, let's stop the cars. Go check this out. And there was a guy there with like an Anglia. I don't know if you're familiar. It's like an English Ford, and like a lot of hot rodders build them up like with big V8s and everything.
Yeah.
But they're small.
Kind of like the size of an Escort.
No,
Like a
no,
Cortina?
no, Anglia.
bigger
No,
than
This is
Spark, bigger.
1950s.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Anglia.
it's not incredibly big though.
It's like a big hunchback, like hatchback thingy. But anyways, regardless,
Big for a British car.
well, whatever. But anyways,
Yeah.
so I'm talking to the guy, and he's telling me a story. Because I'm like, oh, this looks cool car. I gave him a compliment, and he was telling me how he bought the car in like the 70s, and it was in the garage for like 30 years because he had kids and a career, and it got sidetracked.
Yeah.
And just it sat there forever. But here he is at the show. It's done. And eventually it happened, and he did it, and he got it done, and here it is, right? And I was always like, really like impressed by that story that, sometimes they get done. And I've seen a lot of stories like that where, sometimes guys have a car that's put away for a long time, but then they get done, and sometimes they don't get done. But don't be discouraged that, just because they've had it on the back burner for a long time, it means it's not going to get done. That's not always the case, right?
Yeah. I haven't done nothing in the meanwhile. Like,
So how'd you get this thing? Like, tell us about the story about how that came about. Like, where'd you pick it up from?
Okay, so I can't remember what I had. So originally, I was 16, about that, and I was always into Volkswagens, going to Great Canadian. I ended up my dream car, like I wanted a fastback, like a 66 fastback Volkswagen. And so my dad surprised me. I think it was my 16th birthday. Surprised me when rolled up. It was beautiful, it was shaved, cowl look kind of thing. It was a 70. So I love Volkswagens. I kind of never worked on that one a bit. We took it to Great Canadian once or twice. So, but it's not really an ideal car either for a 16-year-old daily driver. But ended up selling that, and then got a Honda Accord from my grandma. And I was like, no, I want a Volkswagen. So I guess it probably started where two friends in high school, one had an 84 S2 Scirocco, lowered, big brake kit, like, the typical 80s mods, right? And then my other friend had an 84 GTI. So between those, it was actually my neighbor's at first, and he used to drive me to school. So I guess that triggered the water-cooled. So I had bought a kind of beater 84 blue, and just, pissed water, bought it, was all stoked.
Jetta?
Jetta, sorry. Sits in the rain, go to take it for a drive, got the down your legs, and I'm like, oh no.
So you have to shower in the morning.
Yeah, like
That's perfect.
it was the typical moldy smell. And
That's fine.
So that was kind of a beater. I drove that for a bit.
I think a lot of guys watching this will be able to identify with that. I certainly can.
Yeah, so I mean, there's whatever.
My favorite's when you're like scraping the inside of the windshield.
Oh yeah, like you had a pile of napkins and you're wiping the inside. So I'm like, okay, I'd like a nicer one. So I start looking. I think I was driving a Subaru at the time. We were working up Mount Seymour, so I was like, I should get all-wheel drive. And then I'm like on the hunt. So every Thursday, I started buying buy and sell because I don't know, the internet was on a computer. There probably, there wasn't any forums.
What year was this?
You had to dial up. I don't know, 2004, 2005 maybe.
Yeah.
So something like that. I can't remember the exact year I got it.
Craigslist would have been around, but like buy and sell was still like kicking.
Was strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Buy,
still
sell, Auto Trader.
It was like we were going and we were like buying DuPont registry,
We talked about
looking at supercars and like going to the buy and sell. Buy and sell would drop. It's like we couldn't afford
for exotics.
much of anything. But so I just hunting. I remember telling my other friends who were into it was like Evan Milliard, I think, and this Terry Liebman. They had Mark 1s, Mark 2s, and I was like, I want a GLI coupe. And they're like, you're never gonna find one of those. And then sure enough, I just keep looking at the buy and sell every Thursday, go straight there. So I'm an apprentice at the time. I'm driving with my journeyman. I'm flipping through. I'm like, oh my God. Boom, this pops up. I think it had the picture.
Oh, wow.
I hope I cut it out and kept it somewhere, but
It's like all grainy because black and white.
Yeah, it's black and white, tiny little picture.
The guy paid an extra $8 for
It's
the
got
ad.
the description. I'm like, oh my God. So I like, get me to a phone. I think that we maybe had pagers then, or I had to like borrow a cell phone or something. I don't know if I had one yet, but either way, I like call, I leave a message, and then like anxiously await the call, right? So then I get a call like that afternoon or whatever, and she's like, yeah, I'm going, it's a long weekend, I'm going camping for the long weekend. I'm like, okay, like as soon as you're back, I will drop everything, I will come straight there. So we arrange a time, she gets back and she's like, yeah, I've had a lot of messages. So a guy wants to fly in from Castlegar. So people were like trying to fly in to buy this car. Sorry if you're watching, because you might still be driving it. It could have been on the road still.
But even 20 years ago, it was that hot.
Anyway, that stresses me out. But
This will fix all that.
yeah, cheers. Cheers.
Steam milk's all gone.
So anyway, I'm like, okay, she's in Richmond. I'm like talking to her. I'm like, okay, tell me about the car. And she's like, oh yeah, I think the engine's a 2.8
Wow.
or something. And I'm like, oh, sick. I'm like, okay, whatever. So she had bought it off her boss. She had worked at a deli or some meat store, butcher. Maybe
Meat
that's the
store,
word.
got it.
Yeah,
the meat store.
Meat store.
Anyway, so
Meat.
yeah, so I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, go to meet her, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take it, like right away. You know, maybe I test drove it, but either way, bought it right away, brought her home.
Was it this color?
Yes. So originally it was Mars Red, and the previous owner had painted it Porsche Guards Red.
But was it like bone stock otherwise?
It was on like 13-inch ASAs,
Okay.
and it had a ABA bottom end, 2.0, not
Yeah.
2.8, with the counterflow head, and it was hydraulic lifter. It had a full super sprint exhaust. Otherwise, stock, yeah.
You think it was painted because it had some kind of like claim or something, or like?
No idea.
Yeah, it's weird. It's an odd one because I mean the color is similar to what it left the factory, and it'd be odd to like repaint the whole car. Like you can see there's a little bit of Mars Red down here. It's odd to paint a car like that, especially 20 some odd years ago, because the car wasn't that old yet. Usually they're still in good shape, so it's kind of interesting why they did it. But I didn't even know that it was a different color.
I believe he was the second owner, and I swear he bought it in like 85. Like the first owner had it for 1 year, and then he bought it. So I was able to call him because he still owned the butcher. He was still running the butcher. I had all the paperwork, the receipts. So I phoned him, said, hey, I purchased your car off your employee, and I got like a full story on it. And I'm like telling him all my plans and the full build, and I'm pretty sure he said he didn't like the orangey color of the Mars Red.
Yeah, interesting.
And he wanted like a deeper red. So
Yeah,
I
I'm not
remember
a
him,
fan
he's
of
like,
Mars.
he was like, oh yeah, there was 10 coats of clear coat on it, and I went all in. So
Well, it's interesting how like expensive paint jobs have gotten over the years because it's super common, especially if you're like into air-cooled VWs, to like find an old VW bus or Beetle, and they literally have like 10 different paint jobs on them because back in the day, paint wasn't very good. So
Yeah.
so a car after a couple of years would fade out or look crappy. So guys would just go to like a place, just shoot it, and no big deal.
yeah,
And it wasn't like very expensive. I mean, it cost money, but it wasn't like nowadays. It's like forget about it. Like painting a car is like something you have to save up for. Like really. Back in the day,
get a
like,
second mortge.
Exactly, right,
But the
but-
phone calls,
I know.
since I don't like red,
I know.
and I had originally, my plan was to go, I wanted to do Porsche Gelbgrün.
Yeah, so like yellowy green. Yeah.
Yeah, yellow green. So I want to do that bright lime.
That's awesome.
And that was the dream. So I, started
awesome.
started calling some places, and lately I'd changed my mind. I want to do the, what's it called? Kind of the, not chartreuse. It's kind of like that pea soup green.
Oh yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, no, I know what
on
you
the
mean.
moment, on the spot.
Almost like an
Can't-
olive, but
I can't think
a little
about it.
lighter kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick.
So I'd like to do that color. So I got the other car that I could drive. So I'm like, how much time do I want to spend in that I am taking away from this? I need to get back on it now or never, right?
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Well, the Jetta's always been kind of like the mature Golf, like they didn't come in like wild colors. I mean,
No.
maybe not in Europe and stuff, maybe, but here they're all very like white, silver, black, tan, red.
Pretty beige.
Yeah, but you know, rabbits, you could get some like pretty wild colors, like the yellows and the like bright greens,
Orange, yeah.
oranges. But Jettas never came. They're very much more. Like,
Yeah,
mature when it
especially
came to that.
I definitely like the 70s colors. Like
Yeah.
the early Mark 1 colors, the
really pop.
Porsche colors,
I know.
all the cool Glasserit.
Even if you open up like a Mercedes paint catalog from the 70s, like same thing here. They're all like beige, but they have some amazing colors in Europe. Like just and so many. And
Yeah.
just amazing.
Recaros and
Yeah.
plaids,
I know.
plaid interiors.
Well, that's another thing I'm super impressed with you is you may have not got the car done, but you collect the right parts.
I love buying parts. I mean, you know,
Yeah, but
maybe
it's hard
a retail therapy. You know, I work hard, work a lot of hours, and you know, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I want to do it. You know, you're dreaming. You find deals. You know, I love bargain hunting and
course.
shopping, and sometimes you just get it in your head and you got to buy it. You know, one day I will get it in there, and sometimes I buy too much, too many, regret buying one, so I buy a better one.
But
And
most
then-
guys don't pull the trigger on like the parts they really want. Like,
Yeah.
you know, a guy will want a set of BBS wheels, but he's like, I don't know, I'll go buy the ESMs or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's like the BBS wheels, and then there's like the ultra rare, ultra specific, ultra expensive ones, and you've got like you
Yeah.
always buy the cream of the crop when it comes to the good stuff. Like you're buying what you want,
Yeah,
which is awesome
Definitely,
because that's rare.
Yeah, so I think I had these like Estorils on it at first, but I was daily driving this car, and I still worked up Mount Seymour after the Subaru had gotten in an accident, and I put my head through the windshield. Not through, but you know,
A little bit.
into it, glass in my scalp and all that. So after that, and that was kind of like when I got this car, like Subaru got wrecked. I'm like, okay, now I want the Volkswagen, but I'm still working up Mount Seymour as a snowboard instructor. So I bought some Estorils and these winter tires right here, some Kumos, and the roof rack, not the green one, that was from the Subaru, but I had the roof rack with the snowboard clamps and all that, and I was driving it up Mount Seymour.
I mean, they're all down to
Every
the
day.
wear bars, so you definitely put some mileage on them.
Yeah, we did it. And then after that, I started to look, okay, I'm gonna do a full build. I like trying to decide what I wanted to do. I'm like, okay, I wanted to do 2-liter ABA. Then I bought one with, first I bought like a solid lifter head, drove down to like Renton or somewhere in the States. I'm like, I'm doing solid lifter. And then, I don't know, some reason I ended up buying a PG head off Nigel with a Audi 5000 turbo intake manifold.
Lobbed off?
Chopped, ceramic coated. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that. I ended up, they started the head work, so I got it fully built with oversized valves, 2 mils, Schrick valves, fully built the head. I bought a fully built bottom end, Potter rods, JE pistons. So I have all these parts, started collecting it. I decided wheels of my dreams. I wanted the BBS E50s or E30s, I couldn't decide. I went with E50s.
The difference is just the offset? Or they have a little bit different design,
E30s
right?
are 13-inch centers, and they kind of have the flower.
Yes.
And then the E50s are 15-inch centers, and then I decided I wanted to do flat band,
love it.
which are, you have to build the wheel around the tire, which,
Yeah.
you know, sucks if you get a flat, and you gotta rebuild the whole wheels. But that was when I was much younger, before responsibilities and less wisdom.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
So yeah, I basically, I was working on the road a lot. I'm like, I will stop at nothing until I get these wheels. I bought a laptop just so I could search for the wheels while I was out of town.
That's dedication.
And yeah, dream
Yeah.
came true.
I
I
love
bought
it.
them. 15 years later, I built them. They're on a car, just not this one.
That's fantastic. And those wheels are like unobtainium. Like, forget about it.
Yeah, and I
now?
could not afford them now.
Well, yeah, I mean, nowadays, a set of wheels like that is worth more than the car sometimes.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I you know, like when I was mentioning earlier how some people do not pull the trigger on, you know, specific parts because they're really expensive, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you follow like the predecessors and you follow like the air-cooled world, you can see that some of this vintage stuff is so expensive, and then you compare it to the water-cooled stuff that is also expensive, but not quite to that point.
Yes.
You kind of can see that the trends will continue. So you can spend, you know, if you can afford it, it's worth to buy the stuff because you really won't lose money on it.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, you know, you bought the wheels 15 years ago. Like they're worth more than you paid for them.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter what you paid for them 15 years ago; they're worth more now. So
Yeah.
so if you can afford to buy them, you can't lose money on this stuff. You know,
No.
whereas, you know, and they're so scarce that if you ever needed to sell them, there's 6, 7, 8 guys who will just come buy them from
Oh
you
yeah.
right away.
No problem.
So you know, you really can't lose with stuff like that. But still, many guys don't have the parts they really want because you know
Yeah.
it's expensive, right? So it's pretty cool.
If I could go back, obviously, people would do many different things. Maybe buy more houses and a 911 if that was possible, and then
It's fine.
no problem. Anyway,
Yeah.
whatever. I got cool wheels and some Econo shit boxes, but
Yeah.
whatever.
So you-
But I probably, you know, I should have painted it then. But obviously, I had started to dismantle it because I wanted to shave the bay.
Yeah.
I had the motor, had the wheels, you know, had lots of parts. So I started to go to town, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. Full color change. So I disassembled it.
Do you still have the engine?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Under the bench.
It's one of those things. It's another one of those things where I feel like people who are, you know, newer to the Volkswagen scene don't appreciate those 8-valve engines
Yeah.
because if you look at it from a standpoint of just numbers, they don't seem very impressive, right?
No,
It
no.
makes more sense. Oh, I'll just do a 180 swap or a VR6 because you know, like,
16 valve.
but the 8
2.5.
valves, yeah, or the new 2.5.
Yeah,
2.5s.
07K or whatever.
But these 8 valves, when they're a little bit built up, they are so much fun to drive.
Yeah.
And I've had a bunch of them in like, you know, rabbits and stuff like that. And they make good noise, good torque. They are just fun to bang gears in like a hopped up
Yeah.
8 valve. So much fun. And something that you can't explain to somebody unless they've driven one.
Yeah.
And if someone's building a car as a first, you know, Volkswagen build or hasn't had experience in those things, you can't explain it. Like
Yeah.
there's no way you convince somebody to spend the pony up the dough to build an 8-valve motor with machining and all that, comparing to what it would just cost you to buy like a 180 for $1,000 as a complete
Yeah.
swap that makes the same power or more. You can't. But those 8 valves, I'm not saying they're more fun than a 180, but they're a lot of fun.
Yeah. And
Good bang for your buck.
I don't know about good bang for your
Well,
buck if you're
not-
building
not
it.
nowadays.
They're not good bang for your buck, but they're
No,
fun.
yeah, to do all the machining, and even back then, like to do all the machining and the full builds, especially like, you know, I was on Vortex looking at all the CIS upgrades, so
Yeah.
I had bought all that too. Like that was my original plan. I bought the Audi 5000, you know, warm-up regulator, the Volvo 240 turbo
Airbox- lower
cold
airbox?
air intake
It's
adapter.
like metal, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's a
super
metal
cool.
bottom box.
Yeah.
I bought what else was there? You know, you could I don't know, the fuel distributor I think was pretty pointless. But
That's the nerdy stuff that like only a few guys will understand when you pop the hood, but it's pretty cool.
yeah, I'd so the engine was solid on it when I got it. So it was the 2-liter bottom end, the counterflow 1.8 head. So I threw a cam in it. I think a 288 or
big
something.
boy. It's
It
a
was
big
pretty
boy.
pretty lumpy. So it wasn't the greatest for daily driver, but you know, sounded cool.
And you have a Callaway turbo for this car?
Yeah, so then I decided I'm like, Kate, no, I'm not doing the CIS stuff. I want the Callaway turbo. So I had purchased a kit, but it wasn't the full complete kit with the original intercooler. It was with a custom piping and a front mount intercooler, big ass one, which I didn't realize at the time that it kind of only fit single round rabbit headlights, because the way the piping came in, the Jetta Euro lights are too far over. So, and the guy had like the piping chromed.
Oh yeah.
So it has like chrome piping and whatever. So I wish I had bought like an original kit, because now that Bring a Trailer Callaway original went on, it's
Oh yeah. Well,
like
one of
yeah.
our friends just recently pieced together a kit, right? And same thing. He bought it minus the no. He didn't have the boost gauge didn't come with it, and the valve cover didn't come with it.
Yeah.
And he has pieced those parts together, but it was not easy, and he had to pay a lot of money for those few
Yeah.
pieces that are missing. You can't find that stuff anymore.
No.
I can't even begin to guess what a complete kit would cost today. It has to be like $5,000, $6,000.
Five to seven, I'd
Has to
say.
be.
Yeah.
I mean, I know guys are paying at least $1,000 for valve cover.
I think that's what he paid for the valve cover.
At
Yeah.
least. I mean, imagine not having one and having the rest of it. You easily would have to shell that out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have like I can't remember if it's the intake pipe that has the Callaway. It's the original turbo.
Yeah, it's got it cast into the tube.
I have the down pipe. I have the valve cover, which I was running as it was normally aspirated.
Oh, normal. That's normal. Guys do that. Yeah.
And so, I mean, I had the boost gauge, lost it. Maybe it turns out. Bought another boost gauge, luckily back then. But yeah, I've been trying to source the original piping. I believe John has a air conditioning one, so it was intercoolers down there with a scoop on it. I don't know, they're super cool kits. Like,
Absolutely.
Obviously, they went on to Corvettes and
Yeah, of course.
built insane Corvettes and stuff. But yeah, the heritage was there, and so I was trying to do a build that was kind of in between, like not keeping it full original, but I wanted like some original parts, like era correct parts.
Oh yeah.
And kind of just in between, right? Full color change, and I wanted to do all that stuff.
Well,
like,
between the wheels, the Callaway, the engine work, the kick-ass Ricardo seats you picked up, I mean, you've got pretty much all the goodies for
Yes.
this thing, which is a hurdle, right?
and you can replicate the piping
Of course.
and intercooler, so
Yeah,
I'll
that's fine.
probably end up just doing that.
That's not a
So
big
I
deal.
did buy standalone for it, and I was gonna go full standalone and all that jazz. But I mean, nowadays I kind of just wish I had the original kit. Go CIS. You can figure out the little micro fueler for the 5th injector. Guys are building new stuff now that weren't being built then.
Yeah,
You
of
kind of
course.
had to go either CIS or standalone, really. So I wish I had everything and just kind of did original CIS, because now I don't need 250 horsepower, can't put the power down anyway.
Of course.
I just want to drive it and have fun,
Yeah.
you know?
So are you missing any parts of the car, or do you pretty much have everything you need?
No, I'm just missing time.
Yeah, that's a
Time?
big. Yeah, everyone's missing time.
So,
So many people are watching this right now, nodding. Mm-hmm. So many.
yeah,
We're coming to your garage next.
The mics probably aren't picking up the kids stomping around and up there, but you know,
Yeah.
life happens.
Oh,
You know, I
At
got
least you and Barry didn't know.
at least
that?
I've started to dig it out.
Oh yeah, for those watching, I'm mad at Reid because when we messaged him to shoot this car a few weeks ago, the garage was a disaster. And that's what I wanted to show you guys, because everyone's garage is a disaster if they've got a buried project car in it. But Reid insisted that, you know, he clean the place up before we come over. So for all you guys at home watching this who have a filthy garage, he's one of us.
Yes, I'm pretty bad at when I complete a project, putting everything away. So, you know, I better get back upstairs and, you know, see what the kids are doing, make lunches, all the stuff. Like, I'll come put this away later, and then leave it, and then you come to another project, and as Miguel mentioned earlier, it's like having a party, right? You go nuts and you clean your house so everyone thinks you live in a perfectly clean house all the time, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not magazine cover garage, but
It used to be.
it used to be. Yes, I used to have a clean.
No, he's talking about the garage itself.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's presentable right now.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
definitely work out of this
I got-
garage.
Custom shelving. When my wife Stephanie was being induced into labor for our first child 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, you know, it wasn't happening. She's like, you should go home and get some rest. And I'm like, that's a great idea, hun. I should. So I went home, boom, got right back on my shelving because I wanted to have all the organization. So We've got custom shelving, welded brackets picking up all the garage door stuff, so I could have as much storage for my hoard of parts that one day will be in cars. And then Steph calls from the hospital like, what are you up to? And I'm like, I'm just plugging away on the shelving. And she's like, oh, I thought you went home to rest. And I'm like, well. And then, yeah, that was the last time, did a lot of work in the garage. But that's life.
Time flies. It
We'll
really
get there.
does.
We'll get there. We'll come around.
I gotta say, when this magazine came out, we didn't hang out, but I didn't know you very well. But I was really proud of you guys for getting in there, and obviously you as well, because I still have the magazine. And I mean, you even pulled a poster out and hung it on your garage wall.
It's my second favorite poster. Yeah.
And that's,
Thank you.
It's so cool to be able to get magazine coverage, and have that car immortalized in print, because it's forever, right?
For sure. And shout out to Andrew Holiday Photography. Go check him out. A Holiday on Instagram, I think.
Something like that.
Amazing photographer.
Yeah, you did a great job on that shoot.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like, and the fact you guys got a feature with 2 cars in it at the same time.
Yes.
Super cool.
Shout out to Dean
Yeah.
Scotolero.
Oh, and there you go. See, at least your car still exists.
Yes. Rest in peace.
Right?
His car was big inspiration
Yeah.
for me. He was had the kind of clean Euro look with and then I copied him with the rabbit bumpers as pictured. But yeah, he was white and black Stormtrooper style. I went with the polished ones, chrome ones.
Are those Cullen bumpers?
So it was 2 rear bumpers.
Yeah.
So one was OEM.
Like a real Volkswagen one.
Yeah, real Volkswagen one. Had the real rub strip. I mounted it up, was going to Maple Ridge Volkswagen for the pancake breakfast or something on the Great Canadian Weekend. Got them all mounted up. Think I put on the Stefan BCWs.
Those are killer.
Yeah, which I picked up in Leavenworth. Met the guy on the Leavenworth cruise. Bought them. They were real beat up. Had them refinished. Love those wheels. They were pretty wide, pretty aggressive offset, but I mean,
They look good.
People were poking. It was just poking a little bit on the rears
Do you
because
still have them?
no, I sold those in order to help fund the E50s.
Got it. Okay.
So they were kicking around a few guys on Mark IIs for a while.
Where'd you get that bumper?
Can't even remember.
And the other one?
The VW Vortex, I assume.
Probably. And the other bumper was a Cullen one, or would you?
Yeah,
get
the
that?
other one was this one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one is a repop, whatever it was.
Well, that's the thing. Back in around that era, they weren't making these bumpers. Now there's that small bumpers place in Mexico that pumps them out,
Yes.
and you can get them anytime.
I think this one might have been like from California, or not California, Concept One.
Okay, because I remember like there was that guy on Vortex, Cullen, and he started making them. He was like the first guy who made them.
No, I don't think so.
And then after that, they kind of there was like a bit of a scandal, and then they started popping up. People started making them, but real ones are like absolutely impossible.
I can't even remember if I bought them as a pair.
Yeah.
All I remember is they were 2 rears, so they don't have the signals. In the
Yeah, I
front.
know. I noticed actually in the magazine because you have the Dean's car had the front bumper with the signals in it.
Yeah, I'm very, very bad at completing stories, but I mounted them up, drove, and when I got there, the rub strip, OEM rub strip, impossible to find.
Left the chat.
Left the chat.
Oh,
I went up and down the Maryhill bypass searching for it, but
Brutal.
it's black and a rubber.
That reminds me of one time we were driving to the border to go to a show in the States, and Mike was driving his Mark III Jetta, the green one, and he lost one of his center caps from the RSs.
Oh,
And he pulled. I don't know if you were there. He pulled over and he was like in the ditch on the side of the road looking for this thing. But I think he found it. Yeah, I think he found it.
like he saw it in his mirror?
Maybe, but yeah, I remember he's like in the ditch, like looking for this cap, but he found it. Yeah,
Wow.
So
Yeah,
that
I
happens.
searched and searched, but she gone.
That's okay. I wanted to touch on the rarity of this car for people who don't know. Do you know how many they made?
I don't think anyone does.
Yeah,
there's lots of numbers.
Yeah.
Floating about. They were like 1,800 worldwide because Yes, they were not imported into the USA or the United Kingdom. So it's very rare, desirable car. But I don't know the real numbers.
I think
it's
they're
hard to say.
Canada only. Nowhere else in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I think it's Canada only.
For the two-door.
Yeah.
For the
no.
for the
All Jetta,
GLI
all,
coupe.
no, and sedan, all Jetta GLIs. I don't think they existed anywhere else.
I thought the GLI sedan seems to be all over the
In the
States.
United States.
Yeah.
No, of course. No, I meant like the rest of the world as far as like Europe. Yeah,
Oh.
the sedan they had in North America, sedan, Canada, and US. But as far as like Germany, France, Europe, no.
Oh,
But the
there
two-door
might
GLI
not have
was
been.
Canada only.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
the two-door version, like this, is Canada specific.
Mm.
And I did a little bit of a dive on numbers because I agree with you. Like, there's no official numbers.
Yeah.
Volkswagen's not good at like actually, providing specific numbers for production for cars. But there are lots of numbers floating around online, and I did a bit of a dive on it last couple weeks ago, and I saw that number of 1800. But
You chilly? You want me to get you a heater?
I'm good.
I believe the 1800 was
Should drink some more.
all GLIs. And I did some reading, and the consensus seems. I found a number that it seems to me that it could be accurate for coupes, and the number was, I don't remember the exact number, but it was like somewhere 480 or something like that, 480 or 490, something like that.
Oh, so 1800 was just GLIs.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And it makes sense because they only made the car for 1 year. The Rabbit GTI, if you forget about the Canadian 17980, it came out in '83 with the JH and the 4K gearbox, the same driveline as this. It was super successful. The car is like sold like hotcakes, both here, USA, like really
Yeah.
well.
Even though it was built in
America,
Westmoreland.
I know. And so then they decided, well, we should do a Jetta version because the Rabbit's doing well. So
Yeah.
in '84, the GLI came out. So it was a 1 year model because in '85,
Yeah.
the Mark II came
And it
out.
might have been like 84 and a half, like a Wolfsburg, you know?
Yeah, it is. It is because actually, when I was reading this guy's posts that I found, he said they only made it for 3 months, something like November to January. I'm butchering it, but something about they only made the car for a few months, and the number was somewhere like 400 and some odd. Mm-hmm. And it's plausible because he also talks about how they made 3 prototype cars that were sent to auto shows in the States, and he talks about like the colors they were, and he has lots of details on it.
Is that the gentleman from Quebec or Ontario?
I
And
think
it's like
so.
something Constantine
I
or
can't remember his name, but
Anytime I see anything on the internet, whether it's Vortex, Reddit,
yeah.
Facebook, all the sites, it's like as soon as the word GLI pops up, he's
This
like,
guy's there?
boom, he's laying it up. They only came in this color and this and that.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Spitting facts.
Yeah, I don't know
Well, I've
all the
got-
facts. I just know. I knew then when I bought it
That is
that
rare.
it was rare, and that's why my friends were laughing at me like, "Good luck finding one of those." And
I
then
know one more in town, and it's also red.
I
Yes.
have
Another two-door.
I have like
And it's also like this. It's parked on the street, but it's a project that's been sitting for probably 7-8 years.
that's Allen's or
no, that's a different one.
It's two brothers. I can't remember their names.
Well,
right
Andrews Allen's. So
now.
I've got
No,
some,
it's not Allen's. It's no, I can't remember their name.
well, I have statistics like in my like little library of literature showing like sales of Volkswagen cars in Canada and how many cars they sold in like certain years in the 80s and stuff like that. So I know if I, from those numbers, which are like not model specific, like GLI or red
yeah.
or silver, but total car numbers for Rabbit or Jetta or for the year sales, things like that, I'm able to like look at these numbers and kind of figure out what makes sense. And I think that number makes sense.
From an educated
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, I think that number makes sense. And the way the guy talks, I believe it. So
Yeah.
I think that's
He's clearly like done much research about
yeah,
it,
and I think whatever. I mean, it's not an official number, but I think it makes sense. So 400 some odd cars, 84,
Yeah.
1 year, 2-door sedan. That's cool.
and hence why I have when times are like it seems like an impossible dream, and the thought like might just cross my mind that I'm like, nope, because like you've heard of how many people that had this cool car and they got rid of it because the gas crisis or
course.
whatever it is, and then they
Or any
sold
other
it, and then they're like, they'll never forget that till the day they die, because
Absolutely.
even if you find one, can you afford it in the future?
Well, and like we talked about earlier,
Too, yeah.
cars, they get done eventually. And if it doesn't, you can always sell it. Like you can always sell it. It's
Even
not
in
like,
even in a recession,
oh yeah,
there's still some wealthy people out there floating that'll buy it.
and this is
so.
the type of car that people look for. And you just don't see them around.
Yeah.
So it's an awesome car. You've had it for how long? Like 15 years now? Maybe more.
like 18 or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry, baby.
we're gonna see
One day.
Exactly.
So yeah, I got sidetracked with that Subaru for quite a few years. It was better at driving up the mountain
Of course.
for snowboarding. Love snowboarding. So that was, I had the Subaru previously. Then I went to the Volkswagen, bought the Subaru, another one, built that up, had fun with it. Andrew shot that one. It was like we painted it myself. My plan was to practice everything on the Subaru. I had Peter Szigeti help me do all the body work on it because he had just done body work in BCIT. And so he fully helped me. We did all the body work. The plan was practice on the Subaru and then bring in the skills to here. So, and then Todd Meyer had also done body work with Peter, and then he had done paint the previous year. So he helped me spray it, or he sprayed it at the KMS Tools booth. And then it was kind of a dirty booth. I wet sanded it and I painted all the jams in my garage. And so I practiced and I realized I should not paint this car.
Right.
So I learned, okay, I'll do the body work. I started, gutted it, stripped it, bought myself a welder, started filling in rusty spots and adding metal. And I'd planned to, shave the bay a little bit. So practice welding until life happened and moved houses.
The
all
normal
that jazz,
stuff. The normal stuff.
Two houses, I guess.
Yeah.
I was in a townhouse, moved with it. I ripped it apart in the townhouse.
Wow.
2009, whatever year. I don't. Let's not get too into it.
But
Long time ago, I ripped it apart, and I've moved with it twice. Yeah.
But again, it's totally normal. It's a normal story. It's time flies so fast.
Yeah.
You've had cars like that, same thing that have been storing them for years, haven't really cracked into them. I have the same, and I can rattle off dozens of guys in the top of my head right now that are in the exact same boat. Some of them have cars that are done, but then they have several that are just in the exact same state.
Yeah.
Half finished, 3/4 finished. Car that they bought that hasn't touched, and sometimes they get done, sometimes they don't. But I really appreciate you letting us in and showing this car, because a lot of guys don't like showing people stuff that's not done or not perfect or not exactly up to the standards. But this is real. Like when we came in here, we talked about, this is real.
I'm not a perfectionist, but I wanted it nice. I wanted it kind of not a pure show car, but I wanted a driver. I like driving. That's why we have these cars.
Absolutely.
Not building them for show cars, but I wanted a good balance, nice driver, have fun in it. I had all-wheel drive at the time. I know front-wheel drive rear-wheel drive, sure. Front-wheel drives, in the grand scheme of things, not the funnest cars. Exempt. Mark 1s, Mark 2s, I never had a Mark 3, but, clearly so much fun to drive.
There's so much fun to do.
So, yeah.
Oh, I've scared some people in like front wheel drive cars,
Yeah.
like rear wheel drive guys. Like Steve, I've taken him for a drive a couple times, and he's holding on for dear life. So you can have a boatload of fun in these cars.
Exactly.
They handle completely different, but fun nonetheless. So before we let this man go, do you want to ask him any questions, or you have anything to add?
Nothing comes to mind. We covered it pretty good.
Yeah. We'll have to come back another time and shoot his other pretty car.
Do you remember when you bought it? What year you bought it? I mean, the magazine feature was 2009. You probably shot the photos in 2008.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd say I think it was 2004.
Okay.
But
You remember how much you paid for it?
$3,800.
Okay.
So because it had the engine swap and the color change, and people were literally flying in from places.
Tell you what, you throw in all the goodies, like you're 39 right now. She got Steph.
Tempting.
Deal.
If you ask Steph,
She'll pay us to take it.
she will.
Yeah.
She'll help push. She's got her knee is really bad. She will crutch down here,
Roll it right.
possibly just roll it into the forest for free.
Roll it down that steep runway you've got here.
Yeah. So, yeah, and ironically, I usually have 2 red cars in the garage, as well the Malibu, which, you know, it was her dad's. So at least one day, whether they're red or not, her dad didn't like red either, and he wanted to do a color change. It would be cool to drive these together. We did go on a date. Malibu, she drove the Malibu, and I drove the 4-door Golf, or whatever this thing's called, Jetta, right? Never even had a Golf. She's had a Golf. But yeah, one day.
That's really
one
cool.
One day it would be cool.
So listen, let's go to the bank.
When you respray this, you can respray the Malibu at the same time.
Same color.
Same color.
Just get a little bit extra.
Honestly, it's a 60s car, so those are my, like, I love earth tones. You know, I don't know if you've noticed.
We know.
But I love earth tones.
That's why I wore these pants for you today.
Thank you. Thank you. So, and I love that stuff. Even, like, you know, growing up, I had like the avocado toilet and the fridge, like the old 70s stuff. Like,
Did you have carpet in the bathroom too?
No. Probably maybe when we moved in, because there was like brown, like rust brown shag. Wow. I love it. All that
Wasn't
stuff.
carpet.
That's my dad's place looks like that. Time capsule out of the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got real shag carpet.
I love it. Like, if I could just go American Standard catalog, forget Porsche and Volkswagen. I'll just, what's that code?
That's what I want.
I want
I
want baby shit brown.
Oh, it would look fantastic.
Avocado green.
Oh, it would look so good.
So
We're waiting for it.
Kind of like that.
yeah,
Or is that too light?
That's too, yeah.
too yellowish.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the bank at the man. It's 3,900.
Well, at least they're nice to me, not tearing it. It's already, you know. I don't know. I'm not fully embarrassed, but I'm a bit embarrassed, you know.
No, it's fantastic, and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we'll come back another time to shoot your pretty one.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Reid.
no problem.
Yeah.
Really gotta pee.
All right, let's cut it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Over.
Thank you.